reasons about her political activism. It doesn't have anything to do with her performance or her representation of that character. It has to do with who she is as an individual. And that's a notorious thing that the right does. They had no problem with Charlton Heston spouting off his politics routinely, but Jane Fonda was a traitor.
I'm actually going to do a counterpoint to you.
Okay.
I love, and I mean love, the character that is Cara Dune. I love her. But what the actress playing her is doing on the internet is somewhat distasteful.
Oh, were we talking about Cara Dune or were we talking about Ahsoka?
Oh, no,
no, she was bringing up Cara Dune as like an alternative.
Oh yeah, no. Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely no. There's no doubt about that. Gina Carano has severely let me down. I've been a fan of hers since Steven Soderbergh's Haywire, which is basically watching Gina Carano beat the crap out of like all the best leading men in Hollywood.
So much fun.
Oh yeah, it's a great fun movie. I mean, like that opening scene with Channing Tatum smashes her in the face with the coffee cup.
Oh,
fucking just throws it. I'm like, holy gee, what did he just do that? Yeah. No, that's but I mean, hopefully she gets unfortunately, it's like you hope these people get a chance to learn and grow, but unfortunately what happens is a lot of them just double down on their shit. I mean, we saw that what's happening with JKR.
Oh,
and listen, I've never really been a fan of the Potterverse. It's always come off to me as a cash grab, as a cynical cash grab. People compare it to, like the way the books matured. People compare that to The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I'm like, no, this is a very different situation. The Hobbit was basically written because Tolkien was, telling fairy tales to his kids and wanted something that was palatable for his children, that was still in the mythology, that still had all of this darkness about it, but it was just written for a reading level in a way that was entertaining to kids. Harry Potter, the first novel, is children's literature. It's not even young adult. It's children's literature. And then when she saw that her fan base were reading this at 9 and then reading it at 12 and then reading it at 14, she made it progressively grimmer. I mean, like the end of the end books are fucking positively grimdark, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never bought into it.
I thought that always kind of fit, that it follows kind of the sort of the worldview or the perspective of Harry at his different respective ages and his understanding of the world itself and what the stakes were. It may have been a cash grab. I mean, to be honest, just about everything is a cash grab.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But just like the cynicism of it being like, here's this thing like, the games like Quidditch and that they fly around on brooms and there's all of this like kind of children's book architecture to it. And not that, I love that stuff. I think, like, for instance, Robert Kirkman is obviously most famous for The Walking Dead. I think the best thing he's ever done is his book, Super Dinosaur, which is about a kid whose father is a geneticist who genetically engineered a, like, 12-foot tall T-Rex who's intelligent, but he's still got the little tiny arms, so they built him robot arms that he controls with little joysticks.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. And it's better than Invincible. It's better than fucking Walking Dead. It's the best thing he's ever done. And I like that stuff. I'm just kind of obsessive for like an internal logic to things. But I know people have made that argument that, it's Harry's view of the world as he grows older. And that's legit. But however, she's a trash person.
She said, like,
she absolutely is. But I mean, sorry, Kat, go ahead.
I love those books for what they were. I enjoyed the feeling of them. The book that messed me up was book 5 because she wrote it so very accurately as an angsty, obnoxious 15-year-old shithead and that's who I was. And all the other stuff that came out later that I was like, oh, I didn't pick that up. Oh, I didn't pick up on that crap. That's terrible. But I liked the books. I didn't like the movies. And the more she opens her mouth, the more I'm like, wow, you're trash. Like, and you're tripling down on it. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, it really was. It's, I mean, I still like the books. You know, I was never like, we were kind of big into some of the, collectible memorabilia and stuff like that when we first were into it, and the series was still being released. But, you know, since then it's, you know, that all tapered off, and now she won't get another cent from me. But what we were talking about before with Ahsoka, the thing is, like, I haven't heard anybody complain about it that it's Rosario herself. More of how the character was played, and that Ahsoka wasn't that sort of, you know, wasn't like that in the other series, and it's supposed to be so close to Rebels that you know, she would have had to have gone through something catastrophic to change so dramatically. And like, my whole point of that is that's not really on the actress or the actor per se. That's writing and direction. Like, the actor is gonna, you know, would bring a certain something to the table and say, all right, this is how I think this character is going to be. But if it doesn't fit the director's decision, director's going to say, no, don't do that. So, you know, I think she played it well. I think people need to stop, you know, bitching so much about
as far
the
as
person that played them.
As far as I'm concerned, the only thing in Star Wars that is 100% canon, as far as I'm concerned, is stuff that's actually been on the big screen, you know, or in a television series connected, you know. I mean, the Star Wars radio plays, yes, those are canon. And fucking Han Solo fucking shot first in that.
I'm going to be salty about the Zahn series never getting done, the Thrawn series never getting done right away. I'm just throw that out there.
I understand, you know, and that's like, that's almost like a legitimate gripe from a fan base, as legitimate as, like, we haven't gotten a new fucking Firefly yet. But I have problems with the Thrawn books as a whole. But, like, I love Thrawn as a character. I love Mara Jade as a character.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not as familiar with the animated stuff, like the stuff about Ahsoka, and how close it is to Rebels. But it's also like, you know, shit happens. The Star Wars universe is very strange in that stuff takes forever to happen, and shit happens real fast. You don't know what happened to Ahsoka between Rebels, which takes place before Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels takes place, I think, if I remember right, between Empire and Jedi, I believe.
Yeah, so it's been a fucking decade in the Star Wars galaxy then, give or take.
Shit's happened.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know what fucking backwater ass planet she was stuck on, drinking some kind of fucking strange neon colored lactate.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Rebels happened between Solo and A New Hope.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So you're talking about fucking 30 years.
That's from what looking at timelines now. Yeah, it's Rebels happened just before A New Hope.
So it ended right around the galaxy. One. She's been kicking around the galaxy since the fucking Battle of Yavin. All right. Since the second Death Star. And people are saying that her character didn't have time to develop this way. I mean, I think people are making that argument because they don't
It wasn't, the problem is that it wasn't exactly the character that that they remembered, and she didn't do it exactly the way the voice actor did it, which people are still salty that, the voice actor did not. I forget what her name is, but people are salty that they didn't get her to do the live action Ahsoka. And then there are other gripes, like, people weren't crazy about like her tails, like her I don't know what you call them, like her hair, her, like, sort of like, because she's not a Twi'lek, she's something else. She's not like Bib Fortuna, but like that part, it looked kind of, hokey or whatnot. And I can kind of get that, that it did look kind of weird, but I get why they did it, because if you're not going to make it totally CGI, it would be a nightmare to try and do like very active acting in something like that. Yeah,
because it's she's not like a Twi'lek, like it's tails, but it is kind of like it's like a flesh formation. It's not hair.
Yeah.
So I mean, like all right. So I have a really long Santa hat. I promise this will make sense. I have a real long Santa hat, right? Now it goes down to my butt, right? Okay. So now if I decided that I was going to start fighting with a bow staff with that Santa hat on, but I couldn't, but it was stuck glued to my head and I couldn't get it off, I'm going to lose skin. Yeah. Because something stupid's going to happen. I'm going to rip the whole thing off my head and my skin's going to go with it. So trying to fight with something like that for an actor is just kind of unrealistic, in my opinion.
Yeah, because she's not an actual fucking alien. She doesn't have alien physiognomy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Ashley Eckstein. That's the woman's name.
This is great, because typical of conversation about nerddom is that we started out talking about how Mandalorian was such a positive thing, and now we're talking about the awful nitpicking that fucking Star Wars fans are responsible for.
That's how
bravo.
This thing
because
is.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, please, Brian.
All right. So the problem there is that, people want to nitpick over every little thing, because they can't they refuse to like everything about something. It's like this weird thing that people have with anything. There's nobody out there that's just like, I like every part of Star Wars. Sorry, you're a liar. Because that's not reality. Nobody likes every single part of Star Wars. So there's always going to be certain things that people.
I don't like every single part of the DC universe. I don't like every single part of the Marvel universe.
Hey, I'm Badge.
I don't like every single thing about Jim Starlin's Dreadstar or Howard Chaykin's American Flag. They're two of my favorite comic books of all time. They're like part of my holy trinity, along with Ostrander and Truman's Grimjack. But I don't like every single thing about every one of those books and stories. It's like there's parts of The Godfather that aren't 100% perfect.
Like most of it. Sorry.
It insists upon itself. So, but what are you talking about, Peter? It's pretty much a perfect film.
I hate those movies.
And I understand why people do. But like, you're allowed to have a legitimate criticism of stuff you love. It's like, I don't love every spaghetti western. Some of them are fucking garbage, man.
Oh, there is one perfect movie, and if you say anything bad about it, you're going to make me cry. So I'm going.
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
I definitely think that definitely falls into the category of about as perfect as you can get a film. I mean, it really is. You know,
I love that movie.
There's certain films that I can also consider perfect films that are very, very different in tone, like The Wild Bunch. And Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. I think strangely as flawed as those films are in some ways, they just encapsulate. I don't know. It's hilarious because, it's like only Nixon can go to China. Like only Sam Peckinpah could do treaties on on toxic masculinity that I think still, that freaked people out at the time and still resonate today. And he had no idea that's what he was talking about.